What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and it happened, folks. I don't think this will come as a surprise to most of the people watching this video if you've been watching my videos for a while now. I think a lot of us saw this coming. In fact, what was it, like a month ago, I was talking to you all about this, telling you all that it's only a matter of time before something like this happens. As you all know, there was this crazy train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. There's a lot of toxic waste still in East Palestine, Ohio. They have been transferring it by truck all over the country, trying to dispose of it. And many of the states and counties and cities that they've been trying to ship this stuff into have been refusing to take it. Mind you, these same places usually accept toxic materials, but this is a high-profile situation, and no one wants toxic waste from East Palestine in their town. I understand why. Well, they have truckloads and truckloads full of this stuff, some liquid, some solid, and while these places have been refusing to accept this toxic waste has been in limbo, if you will. I mean, just riding up and down the interstate, they sent truckloads of this stuff all the way to Texas. And then Texas was like, wait, we don't want this stuff anymore. And then they had to drive it back. The same thing happened, I believe, in Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. So it's an all-around cluster F of a situation. You know what I mean? Well, I talked to you all about this, and I told you all that it's only a matter of time. If they're just going to ride this stuff all around the country, it's only a matter of time before one of these trucks randomly get in a crash or tip over and this toxic waste is released in your town. Well, it just so happens that happened today. But it actually happened in East Palestine. So not only did they have this train derailment that released all of these chemicals, now they have a truck that was carrying, we're going to get into the official numbers, but it was carrying tons of toxic waste. This truck, I guess, overturned in East Palestine, Ohio. And I mean, we saw this one coming, folks. These people cannot catch a break, and there's just so much going on that it's hard to believe that all of this stuff is just naturally happening. And if it is, it's just like the incompetence of these people. You had one job: transfer this stuff safely out of East Palestine. They couldn't even do that. The truck overturned. Why? How often do trucks overturn with toxic materials? But now, of course, we can add another one to the list. Let's go ahead and dive into this article. Truck carrying toxic soil overturns in same county as train derailment. A truck carrying a ton of toxic soil out of the train derailment zone in East Palestine tipped over in an accident. But the local EPA says there's nothing to worry about in terms of contamination. Where have we heard that before? Per law enforcement, a tractor trailer heading northbound Monday on SR 165 in Columbia County, which encompasses East Palestine, and for whatever reason, it was involved in a crash that overturned the vehicle and everything it was carrying. As it turns out, that load included about 40,000 pounds of contaminated dirt that was being transferred away from the train derailment crash site. And the Ohio State Highway Patrol estimates that about 20,000 pounds of that spilled onto and into the roadway. It's unclear what caused the truck to run into trouble, but first responders arrived on the scene to contain the situation. The Ohio EPA says there's no threat to nearby waterways as a result of the tipping. The driver is said to have suffered minor injuries. It's not great news considering the community there is still reeling from the horrific crash from back in February. Not to mention the local government's decision to do a controlled burn of the chemicals on board, which have reportedly affected a lot of people on the ground. The cleanup effort is clearly still underway, but the mishaps continue. So, of course, they don't know what happened. And I'm having an issue here because they say it's a car accident, but literally in this article, they say it's unclear what caused the truck to run into trouble. What does that mean? Think about it. They're really being weird about the information from this, because a car accident is a car accident. Did this truck crash into another vehicle? If so, just state that and let's go about our day. But no, they don't do that. At first, they call it a car accident, and then when they're describing what's going on, they say, oh, it's unclear what caused the truck to have trouble. If it's an accident, what caused the truck to have trouble is another vehicle. But they're acting like there was some type of malfunction inside of this vehicle or with this vehicle that may have led to this crash or this accident. They don't label, they don't say anything about any other people or any other parties involved. They don't mention any other vehicle. They do mention that the driver of the truck had minor injuries. So I'm wondering what exactly happened here. And why is it that the information is kind of iffy? You know what I mean? Like, it's like they're almost uncertain what happened. And I don't like that because we already have a weird situation going on in East Palestine. I feel like we can't get the truth about anything. And that's what's leading people to think that a lot of weird stuff is going on. And here we have it. Y'all could have just said, hey, maybe a car pulled out in front of them or something, but they're not labeling anything. In one sentence, in one paragraph, they say it's a car accident. And then the next paragraph, they're acting as if there was technical issues within this vehicle. But nevertheless, like we all talked about a month ago, over a month ago at this point probably, this was bound to happen. I mean, it seems like trucks and trains that are carrying toxic waste, they can't stay upright anymore. Just for no reason, they're tipping over on the highway, they're exploding into flames on the train tracks, and then of course you got the chemical warehouses exploding, you got chocolate factories blowing up, food refineries. I mean, it's so insane what's happening right now. And I can't help but feel like we're obviously being gaslit from every direction, but when people say, hey, all of this stuff was always happening, I find it hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that this was always happening like this. I don't care what statistics you try to throw at me. Using my observational skills, my eyes and my ears, I never saw and heard of this much wild stuff happening back to back to back. And the town of East Palestine is like cursed because so much weird stuff is happening there. From the experimental health program, digital IDs, the freaking plane crash that was carrying the people who were studying the water and air in East Palestine. Then you had the people of East Palestine in a movie about a train crash. Now you can't even transport the toxic waste out of this town without the trucks falling over. And I mean, what happened? Maybe the driver was sick. Maybe the driver was freaking sick from carrying all this stuff. But make no mistake about it, they're trying to act like this isn't a big deal. But obviously it is. That's toxic waste. Toxic soil. You're transferring it out of this town for a reason, because it's toxic. And you can't just dump it anywhere. You have to take it to a special zone where specialists try to get rid of it or dispose of it. You know what I mean? So if all of that stuff just dumps in the middle of the road, in the middle of town, that's an issue. For them to pretend it's not, that's a problem for me. Because once again, they're not just being transparent. Just be honest. Don't try to sugarcoat everything. And then people will have a better understanding. There will be more trust between, regular people and the officials or what have you. But there's always this weird disconnect with information. If all of this toxic soil that's toxic for a reason, it's labeled toxic for a reason, you're transferring it for a reason. You have to take it to special places to dispose of it for a reason. If 20,000 pounds of this stuff flies into the air and crashes into the ground when this big truck overturns, then a lot of those particles, dust particles, they're traveling into the air once again. And once they travel into the air, they settle into your lungs, or into your pond, or into that creek, or onto the playground that your kids are playing at. It's obviously an issue. But they're going to downplay it like it's nothing. But it seems like this town can't catch a break. I mean, they had one job. Just safely get this stuff out of there. But I guess that's too hard to do. Let me know your thoughts, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.